Hello and welcome back again, Coffee Beans. This is Agricultural Machinery and Equipments. Definition of terms. MNO. Machine disconnect. A disconnecting means at the point of connection of electrical power to the machine. Machinery hazard. Machinery parts which can cause injury upon direct contact or by entanglement of personal apparel. Main control panel. An enclosure containing the main controller and other control device necessary for starting and stopping the machine. Main grain outlet. The outlet to collect the threshed grain. Maintenance and service, periodic activities to prevent premature failure and to maintain good function performance. Maintenance instructions. Explain the maintenance required and the methods of performing maintenance on the equipment. Main tillage operation. This is normally the deepest operation that is performed during the period between two crops to control weeds. Restore the soil structure in the arable layer where most of the roots develop and to prepare the land for seed bed preparation. Maize, ear corn, header width. The average distance between the center lines of adjacent picking units multiplied by the number of units. Major overhaul. Extensive rebuilding which extends the useful life of a machine. Increases its value of adapts the machine for a different use. Malleability. Is the ability of a material to sustain large permanent deformation in compression. Manually carried or operated sprayer. A sprayer apparatus that is carried or operated by an individual. Manufacturer. Those that are produce one or more several types of farm machines and usually do not sell other items from other manufacturers. Manufacturer dealer. Those that manufactures their own line of item but also sell either consigned items such as single-cylinder engine, pumps, etc. Margin. The distance from the edge of the plate to the center line of the nearest row of rivets. Marking. Signs and reflectors are reflective materials used to identify various parts of a machine and mark its size and position on a public road. Mass flow hopper. A hopper in which all the grain in the hopper is in motion whenever any grain is withdrawn through the hopper outlet. Mast. The member that provides attachment of the upper link to the implement. Mast adjustment. The usable range of movement of the mast in a vertical plane. Material management. Includes duties performed by purchasing. Material supervision is inventory controls. Inspection of materials and salvage operations. Mature compost. Is a compost that has been cured to a stabilized state. Characterized as rich in readily available forms of plant nutrients. Poor in phytotoxic acids and phenols. And low in readily available carbon compounds. Maximum brake power. Highest power developed at a given speed. Maximum drawbar pull. Mean maximum sustained pull of the tractor at the drawbar over a given distance. The pull being exerted horizontally and in the vertical plane containing the longitudinal axis of the tractor. Maximum gross mass. The maximum permissible mass weight of the test machine in accordance with manufacturer's recommendations regardless of travel speed restrictions. And including maximum ballast. Equipment and material load recommended or permitted. Mean deposit rate. The average amount of deposit over the entire spray swath. Mean effective pressure, MEP. The calculated combustion in pounds per square inch during the power stroke. Minus the pounds per square inch of the remaining 3 strokes. Mean indicated pressure, MIP. Net mean gas pressure acting on the piston to produce work. Measuring sheaves. Sheaves used for determining the effective length of his belt. Mechanical advantage. The ratio of the resisting weight to the acting force, the distance through which the force is exerted divided by the distance the weight is raised. Mechanical efficiency. The ratio of brake horsepower or ratio of brake mean effective pressure to mean indicated pressure. An engine's rating which indicates how much of the potential horsepower is wasted through friction within the moving parts of the engine. Mechanical impedance. Resistance to the movement of plant parts or tillage tools trough soil that is caused by mechanical strength of the soil. Mechanical rice thresher. Machine used to detach and separate the pili from the panicles. Mechanical tillage implement. Single or groups of soil working tools together with power transmission structure. Control and protection system present as an integral part of the machine. Medium grain, milled rice. Is a rice grain with 80% or more of whole milled rice grains having a length of 5 to 5.9 millimeters. Medium sprays. Distribution of droplets with 400 micrometer less than dV 0.5 less than 1200 micrometer. Metal benders. Include sheet metal benders, metal rollers, hand metal benders, metal cutting power saw. Includes reciprocating power hacksaws, band saws, orth and grinding type wheels that cut metals. Metal cutting band saw. A machine tool designed to cut everything all the time. Because it employs an endless band with a sharp of teeth moving in one direction. Metal spinning. The operation of shaping thin metal by pressing it against a form while it rotating. Metal to metal. Attachment of metal parts to the machine with bolts and screws to provide an adequate contact for bonding purposes where all paint and dirt have been removed from under the bearing surface area of bolt or screw heads. Metering. Use of metering equipment that can provide essential data for charging fees based on actual customer use. Middle breaker. A lister without planting attachment. Middle breaking, hilling up. The use of a lister in a manner that forms a furrow midway between two rows of plants, operation wherein a lister is used in a manner that forms a furrow midway between two previous of plants. Minimum tillage. The least soil manipulation necessary for crop production or for meeting tillage requirements under existing soil conditions. Minor diameter. For the straight thread, this diameter is the imaginary cylinder bounding the root of an external thread or the crest of an internal thread. Misfiring. When the pressure of combustion of one or more cylinders is lower than the remaining. Miter gear. Bevel gears having equal numbers of driver and driven gear teeth and operate at axes with right angle. Mixed flow pump. A centrifugal pump in which the pressure is developed partly by centrifugal force and partly by the lifting action of the impellers on the water. Type of pump which combines some of the features of both centrifugal and the axial flow pump and in which head is developed partly by the centrifugal force and partly by the lift of the vanes on the water. Mobile container. A liquid transport vehicle such as an applicator, nurse truck, semi-trailer, or truck used to transport fluid fertilizers, pesticides, or mixture of the two. Module. Quotient of the circular pitch expressed in millimeters to the number pi. Moldboard plough. A primary tillage implement which cuts the soil into a depth of about 18 inches. Moldboard ploughing. Operation which is performed to cut the soil with partial or complete soil inversion. Mold drain. A drain formed by pulling a vertical blade in a bullet-shaped cylinder through the soil. Motion and time study. Determining the time necessary to perform motions required for a particular job. Motion resistance of traction device. The difference between gross traction and net traction accounts for all energy losses of a traction device not attributed to slip. Mounted implement. An implement which is mounted directly on the tractor and is carried by the tractor during transport. Mounting distance. For assembled bevel gears, the distance from the crossing point of the axes to the registering surface. Measured along the gear axis. Ideally it should be identical to the apex to back. Mounting surface. The diameter and or plane of rotation surface which is used in locating the gear in the application assembly. Moving parts. Parts which have motion during operation of the machine. Mowing height. The minimum static condition distance between the cutting edge of the blade and a plain smooth floor while the mowing unit is resting upon that floor. Mulch tillage. Tillage of the total soil surface in such a way that plant residue is specifically left on or near the soil surface. Multi-powered tillage tools. Tillage tools powered by more than one form of power, such as draft and rotating power, or draft and electrical power. Multi-stage pump. A pump having more than one impeller mounted on a single shaft. Narrow press wheel. A single semi-pneumatic or steel wheel which is narrower than 100 mm or 3.9 inches centered over the seated furrow. Needle bearing. A roller-type bearing in which the rollers are smaller in diameter than in length proportional to the race. Neoprene. A synthetic rubber highly resistant to oil, light, heat, and oxidation. Net power. Power output of a fully equipped engine. Nip point or pinch point. That point at which a machine moving in line or rotating meets another element such as a manner that it is possible to nip, pinch, squeeze or entrap objects coming into contact with one or both of the members. Nominal diameter of deformed bar. Diameter equivalent to the diameter of a plain round bar having the same mass per meter. Nominal size. The designation used for the general identification. For external and internal threaded fasteners, nominal size usually is the basic major diameter of the tread. Unthreaded fasteners, nominal size is usually the basic body diameter. Normal circular pitch. Length of the arc. Living between the tooth traces of two consecutive corresponding flanks of a cylindrical normal helix. Normal helix. In a cylinder on which helix is considered. A helix which is perpendicular to that helix. Normal module. Quotient of the normal circular pitch, expressed in millimeters, and the number pi, or the quotient of the diametral pitch, expressed in millimeters, to the number of teeth. Normal pressure angle. Pressure angle at a point on a tooth trace. Notch Coulter. A flat circular disc blade with a sharpened circumference and spaced. Sharpened circumference notches in the circumference. No-till. Seeding directly into previously undisturbed soil. No tillage or no-till. A tillage system in which the soil is not tilled except during planting when a small slit is made in the soil for seed and agrochemical placement. Nozzle. The component containing the fuel valve and having one or more orifices through which fuel is injected. Discharge opening or orifice of a sprinkler head used to control the volume of discharge. Distribution pattern and droplet size. Nozzle orientation. The angle of spray discharge from the nozzles measured relative to the local airflow in flight. Nut. A block or sleeve having an internal thread designed to assemble with the external thread on a bolt. Screw, stud, or other threaded part. Obsolescence. The process of becoming obsolete. Obsolete. The condition of a machine when it is either out of production and parts to repair or update it are not available from normal suppliers. Or it can be replaced by another machine or method that will produce greater profit. Off-barring. Operation that cuts and throws the soil away from the base of plants. Offset Coulter. A circular disc blade with sharpened circumference and various lateral offsets from the flat surface, rounded offsets or protrusions alternating between sides of the blade. Offset disc Harrow. A primary or secondary tillage implement consisting of two gangs of concave discs in tandem. The gangs cut and throw soil in opposite directions. Consists of two gangs wherein one is located behind the other at an angle and the harrow is operated in an offset position in relation to the tractor. Offset section. Section to show features not in a straight line by offsetting the cutting plane. Oil filter. A device for removing impurities from oil. Oil pump. A mechanical device to pump oil, under pressure, into the various oil galleries. Oil seal. A mechanical device used to prevent oil leakage. Usually past a shaft. Oil trap. A device for separating and collecting oil at a given point in a refrigerating circuit. One direction application. An application method where successive adjacent swaths are made in the same direction of tracks. One-way disc harrow. A tillage implement equipped with one gang of concave discs. When mounted in short flexible gang units, the harrow performs to uneven soil surfaces. Open tank. A device consisting of a half-cylinder or modified half-cylinder lying in a horizontal axis. Operating. Carrying out the operations with people and machines. The operator of an agricultural field machine tends to be self-supervised. Operating costs. Costs which depend directly on the amount of machine use. Operating overlap. The distance perpendicular to the direction of travel that an implement reworks soil previously tilled. Operating width. The horizontal distance perpendicular to the direction of travel within which an implement performs its intended function. Operational area. Any area where product is dispensed from or into mobile or stationary containers. Where product is mixed, or where product is rinsed from containers or equipment. Operation instructions. Explain the procedures for proper operation of the equipment. Opportunity cost or alternative cost. Is the value of the productive resources used in producing one good, such as automobile, instead of another such as tractor. The cost of an automobile is the value of other things that cannot be produced because of resource limitations. Optimum feed rate. The maximum feed rate at which reasonable threshing efficiency and recovery and cleanliness can be attained. Optimum tillage. An idealized system which permits a maximized net return for a given crop under given conditions. Oriented tillage. Tillage operation which are oriented in specific paths or directions with respect to the sun. Prevailing winds. Previous tillage actions. Or field base lines. Tool orientation. The position of the tool in a framework of Cartesian coordinates which is usually oriented with the soil surface and the direction of travel. Orientation is specified inside. Tilt and lift angles as a minimum. Orifice. An aperture or opening, soil and water, an opening with a closed perimeter through which water flows. Oscillating screen. Wire mesh or perforated sheet metal used to separate large or small particles. Oscillating scissors. A device consisting of one pivoting knife with two cutting surfaces per row crop header per unit. Other tools are tools that do not fit in the standard categories. Output capacity. The weight of the grain, whole and damaged, received per hour at main grain outlet. Overall height. Distance between the horizontal supporting surface and the horizontal plane touching the uppermost part of the tractor. Overall length. Distance between two vertical planes at right angles to the median plane of the tractor and touching its front and rear extremities. Overall splice length. The distance between the two farthest removed. Overall tillage. Tillage of an entire area as contrasted to partial tillages in bands or strips. Overall width. The distance between two vertical planes parallel to the median plane of the tractor. Each plane touching the outermost point of the tractor on its respective side and with wheels set for minimum track. Overhead valve. Arrangement of valves wherein the intake and exhaust valves are located in the cylinder head. Hope it helps. Thank you again for listening. Please like, subscribe and comment your suggestion on topics you want to hear. Links of previous topics are stated in the description box below. See you in the next part. Bye. Rar.